Why?
Kingdom Team All Call time, where we look to you for the questions you have for us. And today we are starting with a question from Deb Joffrey, who comes to us saying, "Hey there, would you consider something at Disney World to be a total waste of money? And if so, what would it be?" And so she came to us with this question. I think maybe planning a trip and doesn't want to spend some money on something that she shouldn't. We all have been to Walt Disney World. Some of us live in Florida and know what not to spend money on and what might just be a little bit more cash on something we potentially don't need because perhaps we've had the experience with it. Let's start with Garrett, who we all know is our Walt Disney World reporter. Is there something in particular you would say that you shouldn't spend money on?
Absolutely. The dessert parties, the fireworks dessert parties, I don't think those are worth it at all. I'm sorry, Katrina. Yes, your face.
Wow. That actually blows me away. I feel
No,
very
it's
cool.
no the dessert parties were put into place to make money off of people wanting to eat dessert and watch fireworks, and I'm just not for that at all because I just I just don't see it as a good use of my money. But I also live in Florida, so for me, it's not that great of an experience where I can watch fireworks every night if I wanted to, and I'd be fine. But yeah, the dessert party is not worth it, and I also think the minivan that they have are not worth it at all because you're paying $50 to go from Magic Kingdom to Epcot when I could just take a bus or the monorail or an Uber for $7.
Now, explain to people what the
I don't
minivan
think
system is.
Okay. So the minivan system is if you have the Lyft ride share app, what you do is you click at a location on in Walt Disney World and they give you the option of a minivan. Also, you can do it on the My Disney Experience app, I believe. And what it is, it's a car or a SUV that is decked out with the red and white polka dot that Minnie's dress has. And then it is a Disney cast member that drives you from point A to point B, but it's at a higher price because it is a Disney cast member, and on the way they give you expertise and stuff. But if I'm paying $40 to go 3 miles away, I want some fast passes out of that. I want something to go on Frozen Ever After. I want Flight of Passage, or I want Rise of the Resistance. I just don't think spending $40 to go 3 miles is worth it. Like I could walk there in less than I could walk there for free if I had to, or I could just take the bus or the monorail. I just don't think the minivans are worth it. If they gave you something more, such as like fast passes or maybe a Mickey bar. If you got in and they handed you a Mickey bar, I'd be all for that. But
or even like a bottle of water.
Yes, a bottle of water, I'd be down for that. But I'm not going to spend an exuberant amount of money on just a car, because when I did Uber, I would tell people all the secrets from when I worked at the company. I'd be like, okay, here's how do you want to go on a fat. Here's how you can get save money. Like go ask them for a cup of water rather than a bottle of Dasani. Or these are the attractions you do want to skip. What are your fast passes for? I think I would give them the same information for a fraction of the costs. So I just don't think minivans are worth it.
All right. And Tyler, you're a frequent trip taker with Katrina when it comes to Walt Disney World. What are some of the things that you would advise people not to waste their money on?
Okay, well, the number one for me is going to be rain gear, like ponchos and stuff. Do yourself a favor. I mean, it's a little more difficult right now, but I guess things will change by the time we're going back to Disney World. But go on Amazon, look at the prices for ponchos. You could buy a 12-pack of ponchos for the same price that they'll sell you one poncho at Disney. So really, I think don't buy their rain gear if you can help it. And all that stuff breaks after you wear it for a few hours too. So it's not even like it's not even like you get a cool keepsake with Mickey on the back. It's just kind of a waste of money. My other one is actually going to be the Grand Floridian. I think the Grand Floridian is probably the worst place to stay for the amount of money that you have to pay to get in there. And for it, Disney should honestly be ashamed of themselves for calling it their flagship resort. I guess they haven't done that as much recently, but they used to do that all the time. And it really needs a lot of help. It really does. When you can spend less money going to even places like the Contemporary or the Polynesian, and their rooms are just in better shape. I personally like, the area better. I mean, you're really paying for more of the lobby and things like that when you stay at the Grand Floridian. And to top it off, everything at the Grand Floridian just costs more money. Like food, drinks, all that stuff all costs more money because it's at the Grand Floridian. So if you're staying somewhere else, you're going to find things for cheaper, actually. So I think the Grand Floridian, we've had some bad luck there too. We went into rooms that smelled like mildew. 3 rooms in a row smelled like mildew, and we're not super picky about that stuff. But when you're spending a massive premium to be at this flagship hotel, it better be sparkling, and it's just not. The rooms are just really in disrepair, and it's pretty sad. So those are my 2.
Especially to spend, you're right, all that money. It being the flagship hotel, as they say, it usually does cost the most amount of money out of anywhere in Disney World for kind of a standard room. Producer Kurt, you being a frequent trip taker with your wife, when it comes down to it, what do you say don't spend your money on?
So I'm sorry, Tyler and Katrina, but I'm gonna go with Garrett on the dessert parties. We did one at Epcot, and what? We're just not a huge dessert people, though. I think that was the main thing, is we spent a lot of money on this. By the time we got into there, we're behind a tree, didn't see we're right near the fence where the actual people who were waiting in line or could wait for it were. So it's like we didn't even have that much better of a view technically.
Yeah.
And then I felt like I had to eat every single dessert because I paid money for it. So by the end, I'm like, I'm so tired of desserts right now. I just want actual food. So to me, it just wasn't up there with that. And then I also agree with the hotel thing is I spend so little time at the hotel. I pretty much I want to stay on Disney property because that's the thing. But I'm just there to sleep. And then go to the park. So
I suppose it's all in what you want out of your trip, certainly. And Katrina, what are some of the things on your list?
Okay. One, I do have to agree that sometimes the dessert party is a bummer, but Epcot, you get alcohol.
The Epcot one is pretty fantastic.
But it depends. Anyway, that's a side note. I don't agree with most of it. But anyway, so my first one is actually, I'm going to agree with Garrett, the minivan. I cannot stress enough how much you can actually save by using Uber or Lyft if you really need to. The only perk about the minivan is that they pick you up where the buses pick you up. So if you're at Magic Kingdom, let's say, it could be less of a hassle because instead of taking the monorail to the transportation area to go get your Uber or Lyft, you go and they pick you up where the buses are. So that's kind of like a perk. But
bit us in the butt.
I'm gonna tell this story.
Okay, all right.
I'll tell it. Okay, so we were at a hotel. We were like, hey, we got to get to Animal Kingdom. And the best way to do it is to get a minivan. So we're like, hey, why not? So we asked the minivan guy, oh, do you have water or anything? And they're like, oh, no. And I was like, and then they're like, oh, but don't worry. The best part of the minivan is we drop you off at the best part of the park, closer than any other person can get you. And I was like, oh, okay, great. Because we were trying to get to a fast pass. They dropped us off at the very back of the bus stops at Animal Kingdom. And if you've been to Animal Kingdom and if you've seen the bus stops, they're quite a bit away from the entrance. And the day before Tyler and I went to Animal Kingdom and we took an Uber, they dropped us off right at the very front of the park, and the buses are off to the side.
What's that
so
about?
We're like, was it a perk? I don't get it.
Not a perk.
So it was kind of just a bummer waste of money.
I think the only reason to do minivan is if you really need a car seat. That's the only reason to do minivan.
I would agree. And then also a side note, we again, like Garrett said, we've had really great people when we've taken Ubers back to our hotel. We had a guy that literally just said the whole speech of the monorail system when we got in the car. Super hilarious. He was kind of creepy.
He was a little slightly creepy.
It was slightly it was adorable, but also I'm like, is he going to pull over and murder us at any moment? I'm not sure, but he was really great. Anyway. And then my second, don't hate me for this, people.
Nope.
Popcorn.
What?
If you're a bucket collector and you love the specialty popcorn buckets, okay, have at it, all for you. You get it, that's great, because you don't want the popcorn anyway. If you're the person that buys just the little one-time use popcorn for $5 thinking it's going to save your hunger or anything, that's crazy, because it's not going to. And if you're in Florida, like salty popcorn, you're going to get dehydrated, and then you're going to want water. So then you're going to have to spend another $5 for a bottle of water. Or you could be like Garrett and try to, like, and I would do it too, to go get water from like quick service or something, because it's free. But it just doesn't make any sense. If you had children and you buy like the refillable popcorn buckets and you just pay like, I think $1 a refill.
Yeah.
It's worth it to keep your kids occupied, or if you just are in a snacking mood all day or whatever, it's worth it. But if you're just going to do a one-time use popcorn for $5, that's not worth it.
I don't disagree with you on that one. You've made a valid point. When you started, I wasn't sure where you were going with that, but now it makes a little bit more sense to me. I will say, I mean, you bring up a good point when it comes to the water, Garrett. I mean, do not pay ridiculous money to get a Dasani bottle of water. First of all, it's Dasani, and you're going to be more thirsty than, before you drank it following that beverage. But on top of it, you're absolutely right. Go and grab a cup of water from any quick service restaurant in any park that you might be in. It's something that you can do, and it's going to save you a ton of money, because a bottle of water, I mean, it's like $4 or something now, or even more depending on the time of year, and depending on if they want to jack up the price another 50 cents or so. So yeah, definitely stay away from that. Just some of the things that we have in mind when it comes to not wasting our money at Walt Disney World.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.